In 2015, I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder. This was the second time in my life I'd experienced feelings and thoughts like this. I'd been experiencing depression-like symptoms the year before, but something happened earlier that year just sent me down a downward spiral. For quite a long time, I didn't want to meet anyone, I didn't want to get out of bed, and through it all, this unrelenting stream of negative thoughts tormented me day after day. I was in my honors year, and a lot of us know that's really, really tough. And I was actually a church minister and actively counseling a lot of people. I felt so guilty for experiencing what I experienced. And after months and months and months of experiencing this, I decided to take my life. Now, I'll spare you the details, but I had a single moment of clarity. And so I contacted one of my friends because I knew that if I was going to survive the night, I couldn't do it alone. I went and saw a therapist. I got help. And the therapist made it clear to me that if I wanted to feel better, if I wanted to get better, I had to play a leading and active role in that. Now, I learned two very important lessons in that season, and I believe they're more relevant now than ever. The first is that we need to play a leading and protagonist role in our own emotional and mental well-being. The second is that if we want to come out of this season well, we can't do it alone. So the first, every story, or most stories at least, has a hero or protagonist. They change the narrative, they do something or say something that changes the storyline. And without them, things probably wouldn't have turned out as well. In the same way, I realized that we need to play a leading, active, and protagonist role in our own emotional health. I cannot sit by and do nothing and expect to feel better. Now, I completely understand that for some people, this could be the hardest thing in the world. When I had depression, even being able to get out of bed and take a shower was a miracle. And so it's not about taking these huge steps, it's about doing what you can. So what can we do? For a lot of us, that means making sure that we engage in deep social relationships, being able to be vulnerable and share what's on our heart. It means eating well and exercising because we know our body and our minds are connected. It means being able to rest without feeling guilty. So many people have contacted me. They feel guilty for not being productive in the middle of a global pandemic. It's okay to rest. There are so many great apps about mindfulness, about breathing that we can use on any of the app stores. And we have a lot of really great mental health resources. There are counselors, there are therapists, and we can just share it to somebody next to us. But you know what? Just getting out of bed, taking a shower, or maybe cleaning a part of our room, that's enough if it's hard for us. It's about doing what you can. One thing I realized is that before the pandemic, where I could go out, a lot of these emotional needs had already been met. I could meet people, I could talk to people, I had autonomy. But now that a lot of this is happening, in this current season, we have to take a bit more initiative in our mental and emotional health. Secondly, it's about the importance of reaching out to somebody who needs it. And this is exemplified by the story of Kevin Berthia. Now, he was a young man living in the United States, and one day, he went to a bridge with the intent of ending his life. He was saved when a police officer talked to him for 90 minutes before he came over to the other side. And as he tells his story, what's incredible is that he said that he would talk to people who try to engage with people on his way to the location. He was hoping that somebody, anyone at all, would ask him, "Are you okay?" He was looking for any reason at all, to turn back. Now, having experienced this myself, I and many other people understand the importance of just simply reaching out to someone and asking, "Hey, are you all right? How are you doing?" I'm currently a postdoctoral researcher at the Black Dog Institute, and we use all different types of technology to try to reach people who are in crisis. For example, we use CCTV footage to try to identify what are sort of pre-suicidal behaviors at certain hotspots, and how do they differ from one context to another. For example, these behaviors at a train station or perhaps a cliff might be different. And then we can train machine learning algorithms to pick up and identify these behaviors and make sure we reach out to them before it's too late. In another project, we're employing Google Ads, where we're trying to reach people who are searching up suicide-related terms on Google. Everything is so we can reach out to the people in crisis. But you know, I can do all this research. I can engage in all these statistics. I can do all these different analyses. I get to work with some of the world's most brilliant people. But what's the point of getting to do incredible research? What's the point of having my papers known? What's the point of being renowned for the work that I do if I can't go home to the people I love and engage and talk to them in a way that makes sure they're emotionally healthy? Especially in this season, in this pandemic, all we need to do is look up and around. There are so many people that we can reach out to. I heard this one story where this family in Indonesia, where I'm from, the school's actually helping them financially because it's a tough time financially for everyone. And they actually told the school, hey, when you told us that you were going to help us, we had just finished cooking our very last batch of rice. There are so many people that we can reach out to, especially in this season. So if we're wondering, what can we do? Sometimes we want to reach out to someone, but we're not sure what to say. We're not sure how to engage them. That's why I actually wrote a book called Hand in Hand, or Together if it's translated in the Indonesian version. And it talks about what is mental health, what's depression, what's anxiety, what are 10 very practical things you can do to engage and to help somebody who's going through a tough time, and what do you do if they're experiencing suicidal thoughts? And I'll share just really briefly some of these things. We can actually watch them, see if their eating patterns or sleeping patterns are changing a little bit. Are they looking a little bit more down? Are they seeming a little bit more stressed? Maybe that's an indication that something's going on. Not just ask them, hey, how are you doing? But actually make space for an open and vulnerable conversation. Then we can respond in a healthy way. We can't cut them. We listen to them and make them feel heard. And when we do respond, one thing that I typically do is I ask them, what can I do for you? Do you want me to listen? It'd be an honor to, if you just want me to sit here and listen to what you're going through. Or would you like to hear what I have to think about it? Would you like my advice? Or in fact, would you like me to intervene in something? And we can be present with them as well. There is something incredible for someone who's going through such suffering that they can't put it into words when you're simply there with them. And in this season, if not physically, then at least you let them know, hey, I'm thinking about you. You're on my mind. And finally, we need to set healthy boundaries to make sure that we're okay, to make sure that we're protected, because we can't help somebody else if we're not in the best place emotionally. Can you imagine a world where every single person understands the importance of emotional health? Where every single person knew how to ask, hey, how are you doing? Are you all right? Where every single person knew how to respond in a healthy way to that. And every single person understood that, sometimes there are things that are happening in our lives that we can't see, but they're also just as important. That's the vision I had when I wrote this book. So in sum, there are two really important lessons that I learned that I feel are important for this season. The first is that we need to play a leading and protagonist role in our own emotional health. The second being, we can't do this alone. Reach out to somebody close to you. Because what's the point if we can do incredible things, but we can't help the person next to us?